Now that we've created an app workspace to contain all of our reports, let's discuss the concept of a dashboard in the Power BI service. Let's revisit the idea of a shared workspace. This is where all your datasets, reports, or workbooks go that you'd want to share with a particular department or group. A shared workspace can contain multiple reports, each containing their own dataset. Now, there might come a scenario where an individual, a manager, or just someone within your organization would like to create a single location where they could look at key data from any of these reports. That's where dashboards come in. A dashboard lets you add, or as Power BI calls it, pin a visual from any number of reports into a single dashboard for viewing. It's a way to combine data from multiple reports in a single location without having to build a single huge data model to support this. Considering this, there's a very important thing you can't do in dashboards. There is no filtering from a user perspective, and let me explain why. If I've pinned visualizations from multiple data models, and then the user were to apply a filter from a single report, that would cause a scenario where some of the tiles would get filtered, but others wouldn't. This could cause a dangerous scenario of data ambiguity and misalignment. So because of this, there's no way to add or pin a slicer from any report page. It's important to note the tiles do refresh whenever the data model from any report gets refreshed, so the data does stay aligned. However, the goal of a dashboard is to provide quick insights. If a user wants to interact with the data, they can simply click on any tile to utilize its native drill-through functionality that then hyperlinks them to the report page the tile was pinned from, allowing the user to interact with the report as desired to gain insights from it. At a high level, that's the design and purpose of a dashboard, a collection of data from multiple reports with drill-down capabilities when the user wants to dive further into the data. Alright, with that in mind, let's get started. So if you haven't already, go ahead and log into your Power BI account and go to your Learn Power BI workspace we created in our last video. And we have in front of us the report that we published. And what I want to do is take the visualizations here and put them into a new dashboard. So to walk through again what we discussed a little bit earlier, any of these visuals have this icon that is a pin icon, which would let us pin this to a dashboard. So I can pin any of these. I can pin any of the cards up here at the top. Now, as a reminder, the one thing that I cannot pin, if you take a look, I have no ability to pin my slicer selection. The one exception to this is if any slicer had been selected with a filter from any of these dropdowns, then that filter will also come through the visual when I pin it. So as an example, I would like to create a store dashboard that reflects store sales for this company. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to select store, which is now filtering my report to just sales related to store. And I'm going to pin a couple of visualizations to a new dashboard with that. Starting up here on the right with net profit. And I'm going to call this new dashboard store sales. And I'm going to select pin. Now it's going to prompt us for a phone view. We will talk about that in a little bit. So just get rid of that. I'm going to pin a few more things. I'm going to pin my net profit running total. Pin that to store sales. I'm going to pin my year-over-year net profit by date hierarchy over here. And I'm also going to pin the net quantity. So I have 4 things that I'm pinning. And just to let you know, the goal of this video is more to show you the concept of what a dashboard is. It's less important about what we're actually pinning. Pin that. And let's go take a look at what our dashboard looks like. So we have all 4 visuals that we just pinned. Now on a dashboard, you notice that some of the formatting got lost. The actual settings of customization and design is a lot less in the dashboard compared to a report. This is designed to be a very clean, simple interface. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do anything. You can still move these around individually. They can be resized as multiples of the initial size. So this is a 1 by 1. You can resize it to 2, 3, or 4 times that width, 2, 3, or 4 times that height. So they can be moved around in that sense. I'm just going to go ahead and keep them here as is. But let's talk about some things that we have in front of us. Again, the filters that I just mentioned got pinned with it. So all of these visuals that we see in front of us are all related to the store channel. So if my model was to get refreshed, and a refresh is something we will talk about in our next video, then the data here will also then update and stay aligned with my report itself. Now there are a couple of things we can edit about the tiles though. So the name date hierarchy up here isn't something that I would want to keep because I don't have the ability to use the hierarchy controls until I go to the report page. So I can come up to more options, I can hit edit, And I can change the name of that to something a little bit more reasonable, like month and year, or actually in this case, quarter and year. And the same thing for this one, I can call that one month and year. There we are. Now there's all sorts of little tweaks you can do to the tiles and various things like that. But the biggest design goal for this is if a user sees data here that they want to explore further, they can click on this visual, which then navigates them to that report page. And at this point, they can now use the slicers, click in, drill down, do as much as they need to interact with the data. Now, dashboards themselves are pretty simple. There's not too much in terms of design compared to a report. They're very simple and straightforward. But I do want to mention as the final thing in this video, what the phone view was that you've seen popped up a few times. They're kind of insistent on really wanting to let you know this exists. Now, Power BI does have apps for basically every mobile platform that lets users consume their dashboards or reports from the mobile device. And there is a mobile optimized version of this dashboard. If I come up to the right from Web View and click Phone View instead, I'm going to hit Continue. I do see that there is this separate layout that we have in front of us. Even better, I can customize this. So I can take net profit up here. I'm going to go ahead and resize that a little bit and just make this a bit cleaner for the mobile format. I can move that up, and I can also separately now get rid of some tiles. I talked to the client and they said they do not want the year-over-year profit on mobile, so I can actually hide that, which puts it up here under unpinned tiles, and then I can resize this a little bit. There we are. And if we take a look back at our desktop view, the layout's unchanged. So I have the option to customize them separately. Now, it is important to note, the only things that I have access to show and hide in the mobile view are things that I've already pinned to the desktop view. So that is one requirement. All right, that about covers it for the basics of dashboards. In our next video, I'm going to show you how to set up a scheduled refresh using the data gateway, which will then let us fetch new data for both our report and therefore our dashboard on the Power BI service.